But ultimately, brothers and sisters, our goal as Muslims should be to transform, to move it along. Not just to be satisfied with the situation as we find it, and we try to fit in somehow. As I said, that may be necessary initially. But Islam came to transform the lives of people, to improve it for them. By change, I don't mean we want to take over, for the sake of taking over. By change, what I mean is to improve the lives of people. That's why Islam came. And that's what it did in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Of course, in improving the lives of people, changes have to be made. So it may seem, from one perspective, that Islam took over, so to speak. But it did not take over to enslave people, or to control them, or to take advantage of them. It took over in order to enhance their lives. And so what happened in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and after he passed away, and for many generations after that, Islam transformed societies and transformed people. So as Muslims, we should not simply, especially when we interact or we deal with the Western world. For us, on a practical level, we live here. We have families here. So we should not be simply satisfied with the situation as it is, with the status quo. So we should try to change this, to bring about changes that will improve the lives of people. We should strive to change, not necessarily overnight. That's the other thing. Alright, changes don't have to happen overnight. Allah the Exalted did not overnight transform society. He did not prohibit X, Y, Z and order X, Y, Z or ABC overnight. Subhanallah, Allah the Exalted, the Wise, He revealed the Quran over a period of 23 years. 23 years. And it was over this period that slowly the concepts and the values and the principles of Islam were being established a little bit at a time in the lives of people, so that the change that overcame them, it did so slowly. So we don't need to rush into making changes. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't start working towards the change, even if it comes, albeit slowly. So we should not be satisfied with what we find. Initially, we try to do the best we can with what we find. But then we should start planning so that we can move this forward, inshaAllah. And this is testament to this transformation, the nature of the transformation of the message of Islam. That we should not be satisfied with the way things are. Unless, of course, they're perfect. But if they're not, then we should strive to positively contribute towards changing it for the better. Even if it takes time. Even if it takes a long time. But inshallah we'll get there. And that is what is important. Not to change overnight, but to have the plan and the intention to change, and to start that process even if it's a slow one. So we take what we can do and we work with that, and inshallah slowly changes will come. What this ultimately will mean also, brothers and sisters, is that certain changes cannot happen unless we become involved in the political process. Be smart in showing others the message of Islam. So we need to engage even at that level if we really want to bring about and enact changes that will be not only for the betterment of the Muslims, but mashallah for all of society. There is nothing in Islam that is only good for Muslims and not good for the non-Muslims. Absolutely not. Whatever is good for the Muslims is also good for those who are not Muslims. Because that's what Allah wants for people. He wants the best in life. And He has given us this legislation to allow us to achieve that best in life. And so, not only for the Muslims, but for the whole community and society as well, And so we need to, as Muslims, recognize this. That we don't have to submit to the situation as it is. Initially, we might have to, but we should start thinking about how best we can bring about positive changes to the situations we face in our societies. That's what Islam is all about.
Islam is actually become a kind of solution for humanity, and it is only I'm saying, for example, really, if Allah wants to use us, it is best service we can do to make Islam for a real solution for humanity. If we do this thing, I can say you that it will be not only for us, but this country, but for whole humanity as well.
And the second reason that you had mentioned was with regards to community involvement. How has the community been involved with the greater Canadian community within the Muslim community, if that makes sense?
Just I give you very, near example what happened in election. We mobilize our community with two things. First thing, they have to vote, right? Because most of the time the survey said that Muslims are not participating in voting. And some reason behind it, Islamic. They said it's religiously we're not supposed to vote. So we, for example, correct their understanding and we push them to vote. This is the first thing. And this time we can see the result because the percentage very high this time. And second thing is that we not suppose endorse any candidate, but we see that who is good for community and who is, for example, serving community and also Canadian greater values. So we support them. And this time actually the change which happened, I can say that it was one of the contribution came from Muslim community in a very strong and powerful way.
This election proved that the Muslim, when they were targeted, they are not supposed to be targeted because they are contributing. And alhamdulillah, they are back with the numbers of their members in parliament, and also, for example, alhamdulillah, a lot of our groups, especially our youth, they, alhamdulillah, they mobilize our community to vote and to participate, right, and to bring. But what is important? The important is how we aid our Islamic values to make it the best of human values. How people realize it. And I was suggesting someone that the previous Prime Minister, the father Trudeau, he has a legacy, right? This son has an opportunity to make new legacy. How we can do it? If he just promoted in Western mind that Islam is not a threat, Islam is a natural ally, Islam is a very peaceful religion, and we Muslims, we want to live as a part of this country. So there, the fear factor is supposed to be removed. There must not be, for example, us and them. And if we bring that the Western system supposed to be, for example, accommodating Islamic values, I can so he will live with legacy even after maybe he is not Prime Minister. So this is really a great change, and Muslim can help it. And they can contribute it. And we need, for example, to do this thing by making our efforts in Islamic term good, and also in our country level also good together. And if we do this thing, Allah will really use us here as a carrier of Islam, as a messenger of Islam.
I'll tell you who wants to bring Sharia law. The Canadian government wants to bring Sharia law. And this is not a joke. Why? Because Sharia law is simply the way Muslims do things. We practice Sharia law every time we go and pray. And we perform the ablution before praying. That's Sharia law. Every time we walk in the house and say, Assalamu alaikum, that's Sharia law. Every time we fast in the month of Ramadan, we pay our alms, we go for pilgrimage, it's all Sharia law. All of Islam is Sharia law. What every Muslim does is Sharia law. But I know what people are talking about. They're talking about certain sections of the penal code where a limb might be cut, a person might be flogged or striped for committing a certain act. So I'm here to tell you that those penal codes are not even implemented in most countries that say they have Sharia law. And no Muslim has any intention of bringing that here. And what I said about the Canadian government wanted the Muslims to be able to regulate their own issues of marriage and divorce and set up systems of mediation and arbitration to solve their problems amongst themselves through Sharia law, so that it's not a burden on the court system, which is already so bogged down. The Canadian government wanted people like myself to sign off on custody cases where there was an allegation of parental abduction, to verify that is the parent who has taken the child off to that country, are they Islamically authorized to do so or not? Because there are many Muslim countries that would need to see that from a Muslim scholar. That's what Sharia law means. And the government told us that we would like you to have this system, and we would like to work on these initiatives with you. It's unfair that a scare is created over everything and anything to do with Islam.
In today's situation, the Ummah and the disasters that are taking place in the Muslim lands, the tyranny of the oppressors in the Muslim lands will not change until the Muslim armies decide that enough is enough, and we want to give support to this call to reestablish the Khilafah, and not just to live under these garbage, nationalistic mini-states that have no authority and no capability.
We need to invite people to Islam. Islam will be in every corner in this earth. Islam, my brothers, my sisters, will be in every house.
Canada, one day a Muslim country. Lecture by Ahmed Shihab at the Quran Academy in Mississauga.
And the bottom line for Muslims today is to really revive, Islam. And it is so important for us, to get the message across to the Canadian people, to the people of these lands. Because it is only when the people of the lands themselves understood the message historically that the message was able to flourish in these lands. And so our masjids, to a great extent, I don't necessarily know the situation here, but many of our masjids, were just built to protect us, to keep our Islam. Now we have to share the good aspects of Islam with the public, so that people of the soil itself, accept Islam, and then, inshallah, you will see a different relationship with the country itself.
The Sharia is the law of God, the law of Allah, which is good for all times, all people, in all places. That is the reality. Wherever Muslims are able to apply it, it is their duty to apply it. Not to force it upon people. As a minority in a country of non-Muslims, we have foolish Muslims, calling for Sharia in the middle of Europe. And creating this scare. We can't apply it unless we are the majority and the majority agree, then we can apply it.
My affiliations are with Iran. Because my affiliation with Canada would mean that if in Canada there was something for me to affiliate by that was given to me by Allah, I should have affiliation with Canada. But when I look towards Allah and I see that He has affiliations with Iran, has no affiliations with Canada, with America, I say I have affiliations with Iran. You have to know that this is not going to stop. It is only the beginning. And as it goes forward, these are the steps towards that one government that is going to be over the whole world. And that is the government of the Imam of the time, Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam. We will stand as we stood today, as we will stand in the future for any insult that comes to the Prophet. And you should know this, that this is going to continue. It will not stop. And God, our witness, we will see the day when religion of Allah will overpower all of these oppressors, and justice and peace will rule the world. But inshallah, you're going to
see that our word is going to be all over the world. This is the words of Zainab. All people, Canadian and all people around the world, is going to say, Ya Qa'im Ali Muhammad.
From an Islamic point of view, there's absolutely nothing radical about wanting caliphate or wanting Sharia. These are completely normal, traditional points of view.
Yes, he, Osama bin Laden, is referring to that, to the overthrowing of the caliphate, which was a plan of European powers for many years. This deprived the Muslim world of a stable and centralized authority, and much of the chaos that we're living in today is the result of that.
Many people want to know, and you talked about how diverse the population is, but are Muslims interested in integrating, in separating, or in some way transforming Western culture to become a little more Islamic? How would you answer that?
Yes, to all of those things.
Canadians are quick to point out that ISIS is wrong, that Islam is not incompatible with a Western secular democracy, a free place like Canada.
And we need to make sure that we're working with communities like the Muslim community, for example, to demonstrate that that Islam is not incompatible with free and open Western societies. We have that in Canada.
Assalamu alaikum. You do me wonderful honor by including me in your iftar tonight. It's an opportunity for me to share in this celebration, in this moment of reflection, as we recommit ourselves to a life of compassion and charity. I want to also greet my greetings to the sisters upstairs and to the brothers downstairs. And to all who welcomed me into your holy place. For me, this moment of Ramadan is a time to reflect on the values of empathy, generosity, compassion, charity, but also discipline, that are not just Muslim values, but Canadian values.
And I hope you're having a beautiful Ramadan. And I owe you another apology. Normally during Ramadan, I get up at the right hour, I read the Quran, and I fast. And this year I haven't been very good about fasting. And for that, I apologize.
Last year, I had the opportunity to fast for the entire period of Ramadan. It's something I'm going to do again in support of a charity called Give 30.
I'm going to be fasting again this year for Ramadan. This is my third year.
Brothers and sisters, it's indeed a great honor to be with you this evening and to host this iftar and to break fast with you. I am fasting along with you, as many of you know.